Hey guys, welcome to the We Need to Calm Down podcast. I'm Devin,
And I'm Joe.
and this is the show where we talk about all things Taylor Swift.
That's right. This is a show where two friends finally get to let their dedication to the number one pop artist of 2020, Taylor Swift, fly.
We'll be discussing everything from song breakdowns, Taylor news, and our insane fan theories. So, Joe, what are we talking about today on this typical Tuesday?
We got an insane fan theory. Is what we got. We got my insane fan theory. Um, so you might recall a couple of episodes ago, I floated the idea that we might have another saga on our hands with this album. That being a number of songs that weave together to form some kind of narrative. In the past, we've done an episode or two on the love triangle between Betty, James, and Augustine, however Taylor envisions her, um, which was completely confirmed. It was a completely confirmed Easter egg thing that Taylor admitted and actually promoted rather heavily on Folklore. We've had almost no real confirmations from Taylor herself that there's like an overarching story or a linked story in Evermore like we did for Folklore. But uh, Taylor herself did say in a brief word on the album prologue, before I knew it, there were 17 tales, some of which were are mirrored or are insecting with another, as well as like there are a few random words she puts that says that Dorothea is the protagonist of "'Tis the Damn Season." But the lack of confirmation of these theories will not stop our conjecture. And over this weekend, I sat down with and I analyzed the crap out of some songs. So we are made aware that thanks to Tyler Swift's live stream Q&A, that while there is no direct continuation of the love triangle in this album, Taylor does believe that Dorothea went to the same high school as James and Betty, which points to her being a character that Taylor thought a lot about in the same vein as Betty, James, and company, and thus makes it viable that she has multiple songs on this album dedicated to her. So I come to you, dear listeners and Devin, with my Doro theory.
I love that. Dora theory. I mean,
I'm so proud of it.
if you didn't make the joke, I would probably be mad. So I'm happy that this came out of that.
That
But
has to be
yes.
the name of the episode. Like,
But I'm
it just
excited. Yes, you've been Dora theory, a theory about Dorothea. Yeah, I'm excited for
so
this one.
I will say, not long after the release of the record, a username named Sunflower Kid 999 posted a similar theory on Reddit. I double checked it. I had no idea that this post was made when I started writing this. I mentioned it in our episode in our first reactions that I thought there could be 5 songs that were connected. Um, According to the dates, it looks like we both came up with it rather on the same day, or at least talked about it on the same day. But I just wanted to make it known, like, hey, this person also came up with this theory. So if other people are forming these opinions about this song as well, unprompted, I don't know if he listened to our episode or anything like that. But I think it only strengthens my argument, and I wanted to give them a shout out for this. So there are a minimum of 3 songs that are directly related to this story of this mysterious character Dorothea. There could be more. I will talk about more, but I'm only definitely positive of 3 of them. So in this essay, I will.
Welcome to
Thank you for
Joe's
coming
TED
to my
Talk.
TED Talk. So I do believe the story of Dorothea tells the tale of a young woman who yearned for stardom and left her small town in search of fame, unfortunately leaving her young lover behind. The good news, she found it. She becomes a relatively successful actress or star. Go Dorothea. The bad news, fame isn't everything. Oh my gosh. And in rare occasions, she ponders over what her life would be like had she just stayed at home with her love in her small town and lived a quote unquote normal life. This is all but confirmed by Taylor in her Instagram post where she says, Dorothea, the girl who left her small town and chased down Hollywood dreams, and what happens when she comes back for the holidays and rediscovers her an old flame, when speaking about what "'Tis the Damn Season" is about. So, I also believe that the love of Dorothea and her lover was strong enough that they tried to quote unquote make it work as she left. So, but they knew that she was leaving for LA. They tried to stay together and make it work while she was away. But due to a combination of fame, growing older, and the distance, it eventually broke the couple up. However, occasionally Dorothea will return to her hometown and always find her ex lover around and stay with him for a brief time, only to leave again. This happens until one year he decides that he doesn't like being used like this and decides to cut ties. So, without further ado, the songs that I believe are definitively a part of this saga are Gold Rush, Tis the Damn Season, and Dorothea. In addition, songs that I feel could be a part of this saga, but is a little bit on like sketchier, is Coney Island and Closure. So before I go into those songs, what are your initial thoughts?
So something that I just thought of because I was just thinking in my head, what is this guy up to? That he's just like waiting around for her. Like, all right, well, I'm not gonna date anybody else, or maybe I will date somebody, but then suddenly, whenever the holiday season comes around, that love interest just doesn't exist, and I'm free and open for Dorothea to come wreck my plans.
So here's the bad part is another reason I'm so passionate about this is because I
I am
relate.
that, and I was that man.
Not that I have a love interest that went and became famous or anything, but like there are definitely certain in love interests in my life that does feel very reminiscent of this, of like if I'm dating someone and it's not serious or something and they text or come around, yeah, they'll wreck my plans and I'll have them come over or I'll talk to them or anything like that. And
So you're saying
some
that you
of
don't
this
respect yourself.
I oh my god, that should have been clear from the get go. Um, no, it this does hit pretty close to home, and it's a wonder why "Tis the Damn Season" is my favorite song
Mm,
on the entire record.
gotcha.
Um, but I mean, it could just be like he's still wrapped up in her. Like it, yeah, he could be like he probably has a job, but he didn't leave the hometown that much. But like he was so enamored with Dorothea, and why wouldn't you? Her hair falls into place like dominoes. Um, but like he's so enamored with her, like yeah, like he might it might affect every relationship he's in. Like every
Hmm.
relationship, you're good for now, but you're not Dorothea, and if she does come, I'll drop you for her in a heartbeat, at least in the beginning. And then it could just work out that anytime she does visit for the holidays, he's readily available. But that is a good point. And this poor guy.
Yeah, seriously.
So we can start. Let's go into the songs. Um, so the first song, I'm gonna go in story chronological order, not album chronological order.
Hmm.
So the first song chronologically is, I believe, Dorothea. Um, Appropriately so, it's the name of the main character. However, it's not from her point of view. This song is not long after Dorothea leaves town, so I don't think we ever get a view of them together. Uh, like in like a high school, and like we mentioned
Hmm.
with this album, Folklore is a very high school album. This is a very much more mature post high school album. So we don't get anything of them together being happy in high school, really, except for like a few short nods. But this song, I will say, I hesitate to say while her and her flame are still more or less together. I believe this is before they break up. Just generally because the happy tone of the narrator and the positive vibes they're giving off about Dorothea, he kind of feels like he thinks everything is going to be okay. There's no like turn, there's no depression, there's no negativity really about her. The narrator refers to her getting new shiny friends, which is like a pretty mildly positive way to describe them, especially when they're later referred to as quote unquote so called friends by Dorothea in "Tis the Damn Season." And he even ends it by saying, like, I got nothing but well wishes for you. Um, I don't think they see each other much. There's probably a call here and there to make it seem like they have some communication. The lines that say, ooh, this place is the same as it ever was. Ooh, but you won't like it that way. It feels like they're on a call, they're catching up a little, like, how's hometown? Oh, it's the same as it ever was. Like, you don't like that. You don't care. How's your new blah blah blah.
Hmm.
But like the things that just connect. A tiny screen's the only place I see you now. Very obvious talking about Dorothea being a mild celebrity. And but then he also says it's never too late to come back to my side, and that line's a little iffy. It means they could have broke up, but I think they're still trying to make it work, and he's just saying it's never too late to come back and be here in the hometown. You could do
Hmm.
that. Um, but
Yeah.
what do you think? Because you put a
Yeah.
trademark Devin note here.
So, yes. So, I mean, based off of that line, I personally think, and the whole vibe of the song, that they broke up just because of sheer distance. You know, I've had a couple friends who are on opposite sides of the world that it's just not going to happen. You know, we should break up because it's a mature thing to do, but they still have love and respect for one another, aka they're still friends with nothing but love. Like it didn't end maliciously, it just ended because it kind of had to. I think it's one of those situations that, you know, if the situation was different and you were still here, it would work, but we don't want the same end things. Like, you don't want to be in this small town, and I do. Like, it's very mature.
Mhm.
He's not really jaded about anything at this point yet. So that's my perspective of it.
I definitely think that could be the case.
Hmm.
Just like it's like you said, like there are. I've never seen them, but there are healthy breakups, and there are breakups where people stay friends and like they do just have nothing but well wishes for each other,
Hmm.
and that could be the case that we're seeing here. Um, and it could make like the rest of the songs being a slow descent into slowly hating her from liking her, which
Hmm.
is even more tragic.
Yeah.
So I do like that perspective. I think that could definitely be the case. He says like some more things about her. Like I said, he just keeps going on and on about how positive, nothing but good things to say about her. He says the stars in your eyes shine brighter in Tupelo, which I think is how you pronounce that.
Tupelo. She says it
Tupelo.
in the song.
Yeah, I never hear it. I literally never hear it. I
Shine
don't know what's
brighter
wrong
in
with me.
Tupelo, and if you're ever tired.
I thought I kept thinking like I never put like the lyrics I hear and the lyrics I read together. So that's a me problem, and I'm very dumb.
Oh my God.
So there a lot of people have been pointing out that could be a reference to Tim McGraw, which is the more I think about it, the weirder it is because Tim McGraw plays in Georgia and Tupelo, Tupelo is in
Hmm.
Mississippi. So like, okay, they're southern states. Why do they have to be together? But the stars in your eyes shine brighter, and then Tim McGraw saying, the way my blue eyes shine put those Georgia stars to shame. People have also used this line to speculate that Taylor is actually Dorothea, which I mean Taylor is kind of in that same vein. She lived in a small town, moved to a big city, became famous.
Yeah,
Could be.
I read the theory that this whole like Dorothea is Taylor, and that, you know, she is talking about her love interest from um
Drew.
Teardrops on My Guitar, like Drew and something like that, or someone else with Tim McGraw. I hope you think like that love interest. I've also seen things about Dorothea being about Selena Gomez. I've seen a lot of things, but I like the fictional character aspect instead.
I think with how much she is harping on this fictional character
Hmm.
thing, it is 100% a fictional character. Like, if you're a writer, if you know a writer and you read anything by a writer, they so clearly take things that their friends have done or that they've lived through. They're going to inject their own experiences in it because the number one rule you learn in creative writing classes is write what you know.
Hmm.
So, and if you don't know it, learn it, then write it. So, clearly she's gonna write and draw off of things that she's lived through or that her friends have lived through because she knows that subject.
Hmm.
So Tupelo is the sixth largest city in Mississippi, the birthplace of Elvis, which also means that Dorothea grew up and went to school in Mississippi, I guess. um which is weird because she says that Betty and James and them all went to the same high school, but like why were there like northeastern south saltbox houses in this area? Why are they near all of these New York landmarks like the High Line and Coney Island and all of that stuff?
No,
It's just is a little conflicting. Unless it's just it could be one of two things. It could be number one, it's fiction. It could be number two, uh, they took a road trip up to New York, or not even a road trip, like a class trip up to New York because I guess if you live in Mississippi, seeing a real big city might be like a field trip worthy
Or
thing.
summers in New York or something.
Could do a summer in New York or something like along those lines. Yeah, like
Mhm.
there are ways that we can finagle it to make the story work in the way that we want it to. But then we go down. If you're ever tired of being known for who you know, you'll always know me. Like I said, this is extremely bright eyed and bushy tailed. I love
Mhm.
that phrase, so I had to put it in here. But it's just a very positive vision of what their relationship is or was. Even ooh, from you I'd buy anything. Like it's just spewing with positivity towards this woman that, like, I don't know, even if we ended on good terms, I think maybe this says something about me. I don't think I'd be this positive about my ex going off and like being like I don't know, man.
Well,
Maybe I'm just petty.
in the I don't know if it's the bridge or not, but when he says, um, "Are you still the same girl soul I met under the bleachers, but I'll never know and you'll go back to the show." It is that kind of moment of maybe like, "Oh, I don't know about this, but oh, you'll it's never too late." Like it's a blip
Mm-hmm.
in the optimism. So that's the beginning of the descent, I think, of the
I
doubt
could
that
see that.
starts to creep in.
I think that it's also interesting, and I think we noted this when I was going through the notes on these songs. But there's so many references to her other things, like "You Belong with Me," "Under the Bleachers."
That's going to
Like
be
there's,
another episode. Love my Easter
um,
eggs.
yeah, we're gonna have to go through a bunch of them because I found so many doing this. This was such a fun analysis to do. That was all I really found in Dorothea, though. Dorothea is, I think, a very self-explanatory song. I don't
Hmm.
need to fight that it's about Dorothea. um, it's interesting. The only thing is yeah, we don't know exactly, are they still together or did they just have one of the best breakups imaginable? Which, again, it could be this song is about endings. So every album, or this entire album, is about endings. So it could be
Hmm.
just like the ending. It could be the ending of her living in her hometown, but not the ending of the relationship. It could be the beginning of the end of the relationship. But either way, what my idea before Devin came in and hit me with some like interesting facts that might have changed my opinion. Um, I think Gold Rush, the next song, is where they definitively break up.
Hmm.
So the overall theme of Gold Rush, very obvious, is jealousy. There's a lot of speculation and theories around this, but in this case, I believe the song is from the point of view of Dorothea's hometown lover again, shortly after she left for LA and struck gold. So I think you mentioned this. Um, Actually, tell me what you think, because I think this
Yeah.
is you made a good point about this.
So I think in terms of the connection between Dorothea and Gold Rush is that in Dorothea, she's beginning to have her luck turn around, like getting ad placements in magazines, makeup sponsorships, but she hasn't really gone global, so to speak. So he's still kind of ignorant about the attention around her. He's still really optimistic about it, proud of her even. But as time passes and this amplifies into like certain celebrities, like that kind of attention where it's more like A-list, that's where the jealousy kicks in because now everyone would die to feel her touch. She's not just some D-list celebrity like only a few people know about. She's this big name that people know about.
Like, people are breaking into her Rhode Island home to just sleep on her bed.
Oh god.
Also,
Yeah.
just a quick side note: isn't that what you hear about every story of someone breaking into a celebrity's home? They fall asleep on their couch or something. Why is that all? Anyway. So Gold Rush. The lyrics that stand out to me that make me believe that this connects to the overarching story. Uh, I don't like that anyone would die to feel your touch. Everybody wants you. Everybody wonders what it would be like to love you. Basically, the
Oh.
whole chorus. Yeah, we're gonna. This is the best part. Is like we both love a majority of the songs in this.
Mhm.
We must love the majority of the songs in this album. Um, so the lines that so these lines like all showcase the jealousy that spans the entirety of the song. There are a lot of theories that seem to think this song is from the hometown's citizens' perspective. Like all of the people that live in that hometown are just jealous of this woman who broke out and made it big. But I don't know, like the what, like it just seems way too personal and from
Mhm.
like a singular narrative for me to take that. But it's clearly depicting someone who doesn't like the fact that someone is garnering so much attention from the masses due to fame. But why would someone care? Why would anyone care? It would make no sense to me for this person to be just another fan yearning for Dorothea, or someone who is not already romantically involved with her, which leads me to the only natural conclusion: the narrator has to be the ex-lover, or current, depending on where you are in the song,
Hmm.
mulling over their relationship with her. The song feels like it is either the exact moment her lover realizes that he doesn't want this relationship anymore, or him reminding himself after they had already broken up why the relationship is over and why he ended it. I
Hmm.
do believe, though, that this is in media res. I've used that phrase a couple of times because it's one of my favorite things I've learned, meaning in the midst of things, because the next lines, and I think we're going to get another explicit tag on this one, so I'm really sorry. But the next lines are repeated twice through the song is, at dinner parties I call you out on your contrarian shit, the first time, and then the second time, at dinner parties I won't call you out on your contrarian shit. So these ones really kind of make me think they broke up in this middle of this song.
Hmm.
uh the two changing lines, uh the first one, they have to be still together, but right before it ends, the first half of the song depicts someone who is still invested in the relationship, actively interjecting and being a part of these dinner parties. So if they stayed together in Dorothea, or even it, again, makes it a lot worse if they weren't together, and she would drag him to these dinner parties because he was her only friend that
Hmm.
she really truly loved and cared about. She would drag him to these coastal cities and like all this stuff to go to dinner parties with her, and he still felt so highly of her. Like when she would make an LA opinion or something, he go, oh, okay, okay, that's not what you said in Tupolio, but whatever.
Hmm.
um like he would get engaged, he would be involved, and he would go and talk to these people, and he would support her and love her and show how much he cared by interjecting into these conversations. But then there are a lot of things behind this, and personally I believe the strongest relationships exist when couples love and trust each other enough to call each other out on things without fear that it's going to cause a fight. Like the most healthy thing is to be able to say, hey, no, no, no,
Hmm.
and no, not in for you're sleeping on the couch that night, or you're like in the doghouse or anything like that. But either way, I think those show that it's a really good light, and I think it's important because that first time it's followed by, and the coastal city town we wandered around had never seen a love as pure as it, signaling that even when with him calling her out at these dinner parties, it's still readily available, not just to them, but to everyone at that party, that they're still in a loving relationship and their love is pure and secure, which is a new trademark for phrase that I came up with. Um, then the second time, the line is changed to say, and the coastal towns we never found, which
Hmm.
means leads me to believe in the first instance they were visiting a coastal town for a party. The second, the narrator is noting that he realizes he'll never actually be able to settle down with Dorothea in the way that he wants in a small coastal town, or like getting her to stop moving around, stop being a big city. He's realizing it's gonna end, and I think that's where it does. He says it, he says that they're breaking up, and the second time just shows that he doesn't care anymore. He's not mentally there. He doesn't care to call her out on her anymore. It's just whatever, yeah, sure attitude that he has up towards the relationship.
Hmm. Yeah, so I redact my statement earlier about them breaking up in Dorothea because this makes a lot more sense. It's like you physically see the switch that I care about you, and now it's just kind of, and I don't know about you, but I've experienced this when you just feel someone that's not invested anymore, and you don't really like you kind of notice, but not enough to really affect you in a way. But it's like, oh, that's not good. Okay, well, you know.
It's so interesting because I've had it happen to me a couple of times where like I go to break up with someone who I feel, it feels like we're both in the same way, and you go, hey, like, look, I know you've been feeling it too, I think we should break up, and they go, what? Like they're floored by it. they
Both
don't
sides.
they don't see it the way that you did, and
Mm-hmm.
it's insane. And I feel like that's exactly what happened here, because I think a lot of the themes of Dorothea, she's so wrapped up in herself that she didn't even notice that he doesn't care anymore.
Yeah.
um so the rest of the lyrics definitely feel more focused on her fame, the same theme of jealousy. The verses also contribute to the before and after the breakup. In the before, we see I'm my padding across your wooded floors, my Eagles t-shirt hanging from your door. Still in the midst of the relationship, the shirt on the door indicates they are still together. And I have a lot to say about that Eagles t-shirt, but we'll save that for the actual episode. Um, Then he goes into this the second time we do this verse. My mind turns your life into folklore. I can't dare to dream about you anymore. This
Mm.
feels so post breakup. Uh, the thought of her is painful. He's relegated her life and their relationship to his story, and which I think is like this is one of my favorite points that I keep thinking about is like my mind turns your life into folklore when you meet up with a friend or he meets up with a friend at a bar and they go, oh, whatever happened to you and so, you tell that story so much, it becomes so rehearsed that it becomes its own folklore. In a way, it
Mm.
becomes your own personal folklore, and that person doesn't exist as a person anymore. That person is now just that story. They have not grown, they have not changed, they are the exact same words that you use to describe that exact same person every time they're brought up to you. And that's such a powerful image in my head, and crushes me to my very core.
Yeah, big oof over here.
Big oof. I think there's a country song that does something like that, like "It Don't Hurt Like It Used to" or something, where
Mm.
like grab another friend, tell the story again. Like every single time he's telling the same story of this relationship. Uh, and yeah, you're just turning a person into a story, and
Oof.
it's hard. So then we get on to the de facto best song in the album. So this is the third one. This is the last one that I'm 100% sure is confident is the part of it. I don't think I really need to argue that all three of these songs are in it. It seems rather clear. Gold Rush is the only one that like Taylor hasn't even mentioned
Mm.
has Dorothea. Taylor herself has said "'Tis the Damn Season" is Dorothea, but we have two songs about a famous person going away, and then we have a song about someone being jealous of fame. It kind of makes sense. They have to be linked. Um, so this is the last one that is a de facto. This is if we had another trilogy like we did in the last one, this would round out the trilogy. Is "'Tis the Damn Season," and interestingly enough, this is the first time we have Dorothea's point of view. We never. I think it's so interesting too. We never see Dorothea's personality. We see her through these rose-colored eyes of this lover in Dorothea, and even in we don't get like what her personality is like in
Gold
Gold
Rush.
Rush. So, as mentioned earlier, this song was confirmed to be about Dorothea from her point of view, even, and the picture we get from it is not great. Uh, we start off the song immediately showing that Dorothea is not the most loving, caring, or even easy to like person. She says the first line of the song, "If I wanted to know who you were hanging with while I was gone, I would have asked you." Like, who says this?
Okay. Hold your horses, Joe, because I think the contrary. She comes back to town, and if implied correctly, her lover or ex-lover immediately divulges who he's been seeing. Or a friend's like, hey, your old boyfriend's been seeing so and so. Like, she doesn't want to know that. That's rude. Like, if she wanted to know, she would have asked. It's just like, it's a little thing that stings.
That's interesting. You take it differently than I do then.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't see it as him telling her the girls he's hanging around. I see it as like, I don't know about you. I think we both fall in the same camp of we don't talk to anyone from high school really.
No.
But whenever you do end up meeting someone from high school and they go, "Oh, you know how so like Ricky's over there and Bobby's doing this," and you're just like, I could give a crap about what Ricky and
Mm.
Bobby are doing. Like, I think he's just talking about the guys that he used to hang out with, or like the friends they used to have, or the old cliques they ran in. And she's like, "Dude, I left here for a reason. I don't give a crap about them. There's a reason I only talk to you. I don't want to be around those people. I don't want to be associated with those people. I don't care." And I think she's just being rude. I do think
Yeah, you see her as a lot more jaded than I do.
I don't like her.
I wonder why.
um yeah, I mean that is a good point. If it is I mean, it can point him in a bad light. I mean, the
Well,
first thing you're seeing is your ex, and you go, "Well, I slept with X, X, Y, Z." But like,
think about
yeah,
think about the
it's pretty
next line
bad.
that comes after it. It's the kind of cold fogs up windshield glass, but I felt it when I passed you. Like, imagine, so she comes back home, someone figures out, like, or someone tells her, hey, like, your ex-boyfriend's been hanging out with this girl. You like pass her or him, and like you just feel this like sense of cold and shame. It's like, I didn't want to know. I would have asked if that's the case.
I hate this. Doesn't that line remind you of All Too Well too?
Mm. All Too Well, part five, six, however many
Jeez.
songs connect to this song. But
Oh
yeah,
my god.
all
It's
right,
the willow
continue.
tree.
Mm.
Um no, that's a good point though. I will say it is clear when Dorothea left and became famous, something changed in her. She does not care for her hometown. There's a reason she left. She
Yeah.
does not care about the people there, as noted by what she says, but she oddly does care about this one person.
Hmm. Yeah, which I mean, we both said it can relate. Like, I talked to less than a handful of people from my hometown. I'm not even famous in the slightest. I just don't. I never really garnered a connection between people that I wanted to continue on because I really didn't know myself either, which is a
Mm-hmm.
great indication of Dorothea not really knowing herself until she left. So it's like the people back home really don't know who you are at your core, except for maybe one or two people, including her ex lover.
When I left high school, I think I deleted a majority of the friends that I had from high school on Facebook.
Hmm.
I high school me didn't even recognize me now.
Yep.
So I yeah, like I there was a reunion. I just didn't go because it's
Mm.
just like I don't know any of you and
Yep.
you don't know me, so why do this? So then there's the next line, and I went line by line on this one because like this song, like I said, I've deep. uh the next line, there's an ache in you put there by the ache in me. There's a little high level here, but obviously this refers to something Dorothea did, hurting her ex who she's singing about. A couple of things to unpack here. Number one, Dorothea is making this about herself. Not great.
I can't argue with you there. Okay.
She sucks. Number two, her ache to get out of her hometown is what I'm assuming the ache she's referring to, and leave it all behind, him included.
Happiness.
Yeah, could be what put the ache in him. So
Hmm.
like, she had to leave. She had this ache in her body that I don't want to be here. It hurts to be here. I want to get out. And then that ache gave him an ache because now the one thing that he loves is gone.
Hmm.
So we then get into the chorus, which paints the picture of the story so far. So Dorothy has come home from the holidays, ran into her own old flame, and decides to play house for the weekend, letting them relive the time, which is the big word here, letting them relive the time when they were together. Although it awakens thoughts in her that maybe she made the wrong decision in leaving for LA. There's another line that then says, "You can run, but only so far. I escaped it too. Remember how you watched me leave." So this line maybe shows that her ex might have moved a bit out of town because you can run but only so far while I ran all the way. Um, it could be that she could run so far away from her hometown, but he's still that link that's pulling her back, as she says in the song. It always leads you back to my hometown, you and my hometown. Um, it could be referring also to the few times they went out together to a coastal town dinner party, something like that. We ran only so far, and then you went back to your place, but I was still running. I escaped it. And every time we left those parties, every time I left the hometown, you watched me leave. It does remind us, though, Dorothea the town and him behind. She then goes on to say, I won't ask you to wait if you don't ask me to say, so I'll go back to LA and the so called friends. So Dorothea, despite wondering the whole time if she made the right choice and loving being around her ex in this quasi relationship bubble, knows damn well she was using him to feel this way with no intent on staying. I do not like Dorothea.
All right. So I have comments. So how are you going to gloss over the entire line? I won't ask you to wait if you don't ask me to stay. This is clearly an issue of neither one of them confessing to the other one how they truly feel inside. What I'm thinking, she wanted to leave, pursue her dream, but she also loved him and wanted him to stay. Like, no, don't go, stay with me. I love you. Like, she wanted him to confess his love for her and fight for her. But at the end of the day, him being the supportive guy I'm going to assume him to be was like, no, like, chase your dreams. Like, I'm not going to hold you back, but also just being secretly sad about it. Like, I want you to stay. Meanwhile, he's thinking, like, well, why didn't she ask me to wait for her? Like, I would have waited for her, which confirms for me, throwing it back, they did break up before she moved.
I love how bipolar about this you are. You've switched from when they break up like 1,000 times, and that's the thing is I don't think it is definitive where they break up. Because like I said, they could have broken up with Dorothea, and this is just a slow descent into him hating her. And this song I think is the finale of that
Mm-hmm.
in a way. Um, and then Gold Rush, like I said, is him reflecting on the beginning of that
Yeah.
breakup, and that's the even worse part is Gold Rush them breaking up before they left, and her still dragging him to coastal parties to be flaunt around his arm candy, and him knowing we're not together,
Mm.
but I'm the only thing she trusts and loves, and
He's too
that's why she's
nice.
bringing me. Yeah, he's too nice. Um, we'll come back to this later because I have a little bit of a rebuttal, but that's a good point. I
Hmm.
won't ask you to wait if you know what I mean to say. This is a thing of like it's so interesting because there are times like that where like I've seen it happen with really good people who are like I want to do the right thing, and I think this is a How I Met Your Mother thing
Yeah, you're both
where
too prideful.
with Victoria when she wants to go to Germany, and Ted's like, well, I can't just ask you to stay. I can't ask you to give up on your dreams. And then, like, in the moment, he's like, all right, stay. And when he says stay, she's like, I have to go. And he's like, what is happening? Like,
Hmm.
it could be like one of those situations. Like, you want to be the better guy. You don't, even though it hurts you. No, I'm putting you before me. But she's saying, I want you to put us before me. Like
Yeah.
it could just be like a lack of communication, which I believe wholeheartedly. I
Hmm.
don't think they're very good, especially when they're that young when they
Yeah.
were that like tis the damn season is I definitely think a lot later. I think they're mid 20s, late 20s,
Oh yeah,
probably
even 30s.
even 30s. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And I don't think this is the first been back for the holidays and
No.
done this at all. So then we get to the next line. I wonder about the only soul who can tell which schmaz I'm faking and know the heart I'm breaking is my own to leave the warmest bed I've ever known. So first hot take, but it has to be said. Tis the Damn Season's Bridge is better than Champagne Problems. It is, and I'm tired of pretending it's not. It just is. It's so good. It's so good. Are you agreeing with me?
I don't know. They're both really high. I'm trying to
We'll come
remember
back
the
to that.
entire bridge. No, Champagne Problems. I don't know. I really like Tis the Damn Seasons Bridge, but Champagne Problems just has
That's
like an entire
the
story that
only
goes
soul who
through.
knows which smile I'm
Listen,
faking.
listen. To leave the warmest bed I've ever known, tear shed every time. I know. I know. I don't know how I feel about it. I need to reflect with my thoughts.
We'll come back to this when we do the song breakdown, which is Champagne Problems is next, so that's fun. So then second, Dorothea clearly knows that she loves him. She says she likes no one in LA. No one in LA knows her like he does. She doesn't like anyone in LA like she likes him. And then she turns it around like, ho hum, woe is me. I'm breaking my own heart here. Like, just stay. The only person stopping you from being happy is you.
You sound like my therapist right now, Joe.
I mean, yeah, take this advice, but there's a great comedian, Mike Birbiglia, does a joke where like he has this girlfriend who's like keeping him a secret, and she's like, God, I just wish it could just be you and me, and he's like, you have the power to do that. Like she's like sitting here saying like I'd love to be together, but the boys in corporate, like she has the power to be like, hey, and not only that, she's like she's rich, she's famous, like all this
Hmm.
stuff. Like what can't she do? Just like and it's just that's what pisses me off the most about her is she's making it like it's this problem she can't solve and it's so easy to solve.
She just
It's
doesn't know
probably not
that yet.
so easy, but like,
She doesn't have the emotional maturity, it seems, to recognize that.
and I
And she's
believe that.
yeah. So she's
um
young, she's naive, she just doesn't know what she wants yet. She's given this fame that she's never seen before. She's getting swept away with it, especially because she is relatively younger. So she doesn't know all this stuff. She probably hasn't had to reflect upon it until we get to a later song.
we get to a couple of later songs, so this is where this song obviously takes place after Gold Rush. I would say if we were only counting the three songs, this is the third chronologically in the story. This is the finale, but it doesn't really give us any closure. No, it ends with her leaving again and him brokenhearted, and we could say that's where the story ends. That'd be a really soul crushing way to end the story. Not to say that it gets any better, but can we stretch this a little bit farther? I think so.
Let's do it.
So the next song I think could be a part of this. I don't think like I said, those are set in stone, definitely all tied together. These are a little bit more loose. I think closure could be a part of it. And I think closure is the next what's the word I'm looking for? The next
Chronological.
chapter in the chronological chapter in the story. This might be. I will start off by saying this might be a loose connection, mostly because this song is just so generic I feel like it can literally be applied to anything,
Yeah.
and because of that, I'm applying it here. Uh, we've actually had some people reach out to us and ask, like, do you think this could be Augusta's point of view after James tried to reconcile with her? And that could definitely be the case. Like, but like I said, like this song is a very generic situation,
Hmm.
and I can apply to so many different things that I think Taylor, when writing it, definitely pulled pieces of everything.
Yeah.
But there are a couple of lines that make me think that it could be a Dorothea story. Um, so this is from the Old Flames point of view again, which I think is really interesting that we get so few like point of views of Dorothea, which I think could say a lot about it. I think Taylor Swift knowing that like there are a million stories about her and so few stories that she gets to tell,
Mm.
which I think is an interesting thing to point out here. Like we're getting all of these like secondhand accounts that aren't from herself, but I will say the one we get from her don't make her look great. Anyway, um, so we start off seeing the shape of your name spells out pain. If she got famous, which we do think so, this dude has to see her name everywhere, and every time it hurts.
Hmm.
Like it, not even. I think for one, this song is about a man receiving a letter and then probably a follow up, either seeing her in person, a phone call, or something. And seeing her name on the letter could be where this means. But I mean, it could also apply. Like you're famous, your face is splattered everywhere, and seeing it has got to kill. I can't dare to dream about you anymore. That's a huge line. There's a lot of lines that kind of tie to it. Um, I can't dare to dream about you anymore
From
is
Gold Rush.
from Gold Rush. Yeah, so like it's he can't
Relating to
see her
that.
name. Yeah, it wasn't right the way it all went down. That's so generic. That could apply
Hmm.
to any breakup whatsoever. But like, I think it refers specifically to "Tis the Damn Season" because I think "Tis the Damn Season" was the straw that broke the camel's back, and she had done it a couple of times, but it was this last time where she's like, "We could call it even. You could call me babe for the weekend." Like she's like giving him these like, "Oh, I'll let you call me babe. We'll call it even." And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, what did he even do? Like,
Mm.
we know you left. We know that he broke up with you. Maybe that's what he's calling it even. But like, there's nothing. Granted, again, like I said, we're getting all his perspective, very few of hers. So we might not hear anything bad that he might have done. But she's blaming him too for nothing from what we can gather. So he's sitting here like, you're making it seem like we both equally hurt each other. Like you literally did everything. You left. You dragged me to these parties. If you dragged me to these parties after we broke up, or even when we were still together, you refused to come home and settle down. Like all of this stuff. Like, and he's just reading this letter, like, or he's finishing "Tis the Damn Season." Like, I'm sick of this. I'm done. And
Hmm.
she wrote this letter because she realized that like she hasn't heard from him in a while, and she's curious about it. She wrote this letter, and so after "Tis the Damn Season," he's ignored it. He's like, that's it. No, I'm
Hmm.
done. Completely done with her. Don't treat me like some situation that needs to be handled. I feel like this could be a nod to her being so busy and famous. Like this fight or all the issues they had were just so trivial to her because at the end of the day, oh, I got like meetings, I got to fly to Paris, or I gotta do this for this photo shoot, or
Hmm.
like all this stuff. We'll handle this fight later. Like you're just some matter I need to figure out down the line. And he's dealt with it before. He's not happy about it. Uh, there's another line that I'm a little hesitant about, but he says, "I'm fine with my tears, my beers, and my candles." I do want to point out here, uh, part of me does want to point to uh, Taylor has specifically, we mentioned specifically used the phrase "riding on your skateboard" to like a traditionally male item slash activity to show that the narrator is male.
Hmm.
And we did like we went back and forth. Girls can ride skateboards, and they can. I've seen it. They can do it better than I can. But she came out like against Jack Antonoff and was like, James is a boy.
These are the gender
So it
norms that I'm setting, Jack.
yeah, and she so it I think she does this occasionally. Well, she'll try to gender things to make you kind of get a better point of view of what's going on.
Hmm.
So beer is generally drunk by men. Not really. I don't want to like perpetuate gender norms, but when you think of beer, you think of beer. A man drinks beer, a woman drinks wine, or white liquor, or clear liquor. But you get what I'm saying. The
Yeah.
candles does kind of cancel that out, though.
Hmm.
Even though I will say, as a man, I love me a good
My
candle.
boyfriend loves
But
beer and candles. Let me tell you that.
yeah, so like that's the thing is like this song, everyone's thinking about it as a point of view from Taylor herself or from a girl. I get from the get go, maybe because it's in my own head and I am a guy, but I've heard it from the point of a guy. Um, so the next line, I can feel you smoothing me over. Again, they're so generic, but like it's so easily shown in Tis the Damn Season that Dorothea is manipulative and good at convincing her old flame to go out with her. You can call me babe for the weekend. If you let me hang out, you can act like we're really together and everything. Kind of a manipulative move. Not great. Not a fan. And like he's been through it a million times. Oh well, if we go to this dinner party, like we can like you can hang on my arm and we can pretend go back to like the old days when we were together and everything. And he's seen it so many times. He's over it. He's done. This one I think is the next line is the biggest one for me is I know I'm just a wrinkle in your new life. Can be generic, but Dorothea left her old life to be famous. He is the only part of her old life that is still around.
Hmm.
He is that wrinkle. He is that one thing that sticks out like a sore thumb in her life, and she can't get rid of it. And he knows that. He knows I'm just a wrinkle in your new life. You drag me to these parties. I don't fit in here. I
Hmm.
don't fit in Hollywood. I just fit in Tupelo, Mississippi. That's where I
Tupelo.
belong. Tupelo. I'll never get it right. I'll never get it right. I'm very sorry to the sixth largest city in Mississippi. Staying friends with iron it out so nice. Dorothea seems to know that this relationship part is over, but she does like that's what like she said her she's trying to get closure. She wants to stay friends, but she doesn't want to lose the only person she's ever loved. She wants to stay friends, but even that ship has sailed. He's just completely done. Because
Hmm.
that's the other thing like you mentioned. What is this guy doing waiting for her all around? He probably realized like dude like Betty Sue over here is this lovely girl who loves me, and I've just been pushing her away because one day Dorothea is gonna come back and I'm gonna have the life I've always wanted. And now he's in his 30s and he's like, I've been wasting my time waiting for this woman,
Yeah.
and like he's just done reaching out across the sea. Dorothea's on the other side of the country. She put a whole country between the two of them by moving from Mississippi to LA. Like this letter is her reaching out across the Midwest is known as like the Sea of Green or
Hmm.
whatever. Like that's a whole literary thing. But it's fake and it's oh so necessary. They barely saw each other as it was. He doesn't need to be friends, nor does he want it. But Dorothea herself wants the comfort of knowing that she hasn't completely lost him. And he's
Hmm.
like, no, that's you did though. You did though.
Yeah. Like I think, like you said before, the song is very generic in theme, but these specific lines do fit rather nicely.
I think yeah, you could cherry pick anything and it'll work, but I mean it did, and I did.
Hmm.
Um, so the next one and the last song that I think is tied to this is Coney Island. So I am less confident about this one. I'm not. It's not a definitive, but if it is part of the story, it could be another Dorothea point of view, and it could be. I think it takes place after closure, after she sent the letter, after she got no response. It could be Dorothea thinking over her past and the various degrees of relationship, whether it was hot and heavy as a child. That sounded weird. Uh, hot, like a very like passionate relationship as teenagers, to it's slowly dwindling as they're uh, separate but still together, things along those lines, thinking about all the different like aspects of their relationship. And as like I said, especially after she sent this letter for closure and not hearing from him after her visit during the holidays, here she knows whatever it was is completely gone, and she finally realizes it's her fault, not his.
Mm.
I think this is the part where she's the oldest she's been in the story, and she self reflects and she's able to understand, hey, I may have messed up, which is good. A redemption arc, maybe. So a couple of lines make me think maybe, just maybe, this is vaguely from Dorothea and her ex-lover's POV. I do think with Matt and her and Taylor singing, you do get a both. You kind of get I think this is the finale. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think this is the finale to the story. If I can't relate to you, who am I related to is one of the first lines in the song, sung by Taylor, sung by Dorothea. Tis the season harps on the fact that the only person Dorothea has ever felt close to on an emotional level was her old hometown. The only soul who can tell what smiles I'm faking. It's shown she has none of her friends, they're all so-called friends in LA. No one's close to her. So if he's gone, if he's really out of there, who else can she relate to?
Mm-hmm.
Who else is there? She is no one. um did I close my fist around something delicate? Did I shatter you? Tis the damn season is also all about Dorothea thinking she's hurting herself by leaving her old flame. She doesn't think of him. And the heart I know I'm breaking is my own. We can call it even. Why? What again? What did he do to you? There's an ache in you put there by the ache in me. Like all of these lines, this song feels like Dorothea is finally thinking about how her actions affected him, not just herself. I was sitting on a bench in Coney Island, coastal city, coastal
Mm-hmm.
town. Another weird connection. Sorry for you not making you my centerfold. This is another thing I think that really points to it is Dorothea realizing that she put leaving her hometown and becoming famous above the one thing that truly loved and cared for her. And she put the wrong thing in her centerfold. He knows it. He knows he was never number one in her life. He knows fame and fortune was, getting out was, but he always put her as number one in his. And she's realizing that she didn't reciprocate. Over and over, lost again with no surprises, disappointment, close your eyes. This shows that Dorothea has consistently played with her old flame, visiting on holidays, sparking things up only to leave them and hurt him again. She's realizing how bad she was and why he finally cut her out.
Yeah, especially the line "disappointments, close your eyes." That kind of reminds me of "I can't dare to dream about you anymore."
Mm.
Like it's just at this point, just shut your eyes. I can't think about this anymore.
Yeah, yeah. So then, like I said, I think Matt plays the old flame. So we get his perspective. It's interesting. The line that he gives is, "What's a lifetime of achievement if I pushed you to the edge?" It sounds like this could be a line that Dorothea would sing, honestly. But I think it does work for both. I think like him saying like, "Well, what's your lifetime of achievement?" And I pushed you to it. I said, "Go chase your dreams." And you left me, and what's my lifetime achievement? I don't even have the one thing I've been trying to get for my whole life. And then the one that this is where when you argued with me, but you were too polite to leave me, she was just too polite to not to do anything. Like both of
Mm.
them were really like you said, they were there. He Dorothea also didn't end things. She was completely fine with just like keeping him along. And she kept him on a string the entire time. And then he finally ended things. So then Taylor comes in, and I think this is the chorus or the bridge? I'm not,
This is
she says
right before the chorus, I think.
the pre-chorus.
Hmm.
Will you forgive my soul when you're too wise to trust me and too old to care? This is again referencing how Dorothea would get away with leading him on so many times until he was finally wise enough not to trust her and too old to even care to talk to her, which is why he ignored the letter from closure.
Mm.
We then get, because we were like the mall before the internet, it was the one place to be. The mischief, the gift wrap, suburban dreams. Sorry for not winning you an arcade dream. Ring. There is a lot to unpack here. Number one, the mall is a destination in the town from August and James. Uh, it's again ties it back to that story, which makes me think this is another trilogy. Like this is a part of the
Hmm.
story because she uses a landmark that's in this whole universe that she's created. The mischief, she speaks in Dorothea of the antics of her saying skipping prom just to piss off your mom and her pageant schemes. So there are like some antics that are going on, mischief that's happening. Sorry for not winning you an arcade ring could be the old flame saying he's sorry he didn't propose before she left, maybe indicating that remorseful thinking if he had, maybe she would have stayed.
If you don't ask me to stay, from "'Tis the Damn Season" confirmed. It was an ultimatum. She would have gotten married, but he didn't want her to give up her dream. So she took that as a rejection by him not asking her, and she left.
Could that tie up to champagne problems, do you think?
No, I'd have to think about that more.
I'd have to think about that too. I don't know. I don't think she would do like another like when with the love triangle spanning like the entirety of the album.
Yeah,
I
no.
don't think that fits here
We
either.
see how that worked out with Folklore. When she
Yeah.
explained the whole album, when we went, oh, it's very separate.
so
Okay.
so the last line that I'll talk about for this entire theory, then we'll close, uh, is that I think is the most poignant. Is when I walked up to the podium, I think I forgot to say her name. Taylor Dorothea saying it.
Mm-hmm.
This bridge feels like a reference to all of Taylor's exes. In fact, when I started looking through all the lyrics in this song, it felt like there were a million references to Taylor's discography in this song. It felt like another My Tears Ricochet almost. But if this isn't, I think Calvin Harris who
Mm-hmm.
didn't thank her
Yeah.
for something. If it's not that, I mean, Dorothy is a famous actress or famous star. She won an award. The one person she cares about the most, thank. And he saw that and was like, "So I don't mean that much." And she's starting to put it all together. I think he also there's another like the line with when I got into the accident, you're the
Yeah.
first thing I saw or whatever could be the love like just another story that the lover has of like he got into an accident, he realized like this yeah you're the one that I care about the most. You're always been the one I care about the most. Um, there's a lot that could tie to it. This is all that I found. It was an entire weekend of work and 9 pages. Thanks to Devin, she helped me pull some stuff too. Um, do you have any questions? Do you have any thoughts? What are
I
your
have one
closing?
question. I have one closing
Yeah,
question that I think we can perfectly wrap up on. Joe, who hurt you? That's all I want
honestly,
to know.
myself.
All right.
Yeah. So this is a big theory that I have a big Dora theory. Um, I had so much fun researching this and writing it all out. Like I said, I've seen other people do it. If you guys have any thoughts, if you noticed a line that I might have missed, if you think there's another song that you found a bunch of connections that could tie into these songs, definitely let us know. Shoot us a DM, leave a comment. If you like what you hear, be sure to give us a review and a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. That really helps us bump up our viewership. And tell a friend about us. The fastest way to grow this podcast is for you to share it with your fellow Swifty friends.
Yes, and make sure to follow us on social media. We're most active on our Instagram. We Need to Calm Down podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you want to see our lovely faces, make sure to put on the notification bell. Leave us a comment. We love interacting with everyone who listens.
If you guys have a suggestion for an episode that you want to hear from, if you have a theory that you saw somewhere that you want us to do a deep dive on, something that you saw from Evermore you just want to hear about, leave us a comment or DM. We love hearing these suggestions, and a lot of them get made into real episodes.
Yeah. Aside from that, thank you for listening. We will see you next typical Tuesday.
Come back.
We'll be here.